So much intrigue and interest in this case. Joining us now is civil trial attorney Tre Lovell. And Tre, thanks so much for joining us. So this is a mixed verdict for Karen Read. Explain to us what that means.
Well, I mean, for the most part, she got out. They didn't find, that she murdered anybody. They didn't find that the vehicle had hit him. They basically reduced it to a DUI, which is just probation, no jail time. So for the most part, she was victorious about it.
How was the defense able ultimately to prove reasonable doubt in this case?
It's a good question. I think a lot of this is a referendum on the police. I thought the investigation was so sloppy. They showed bias through those text messages. They didn't call Proctor to the stand, the lead investigator. And I thought the defense really exploited that. And then basically the theme was, how can you have reasonable doubt or have beyond reasonable doubt based on such a sloppy investigation? And we're going to even give you more reasons. And they poked holes in so many aspects of the case. But I thought the jury just said, hey, this is not reliable. This investigation, we're going to have doubt no matter what.
What about this case do you think drew so much national attention?
Interesting. I thought that, because it started out with, a second degree vehicle murder, a vehicle manslaughter type thing. But I thought that the jury misconduct, at a time when the George Floyd thing was happening, a lot of the police activities were under the microscope. I think that kind of, the focus on the police impropriety kind of, really exploited the case and boosted it to national attention. I think that's really what got the attention of everybody. And then just the testimony, the evidence itself, it became very fascinating and almost culture-like.
One of the lingering points here is that there still is no justice for John O'Keefe. Do you foresee this case going back to trial at some point?
No. I think it's certainly done with her. With respect to the counts that she got an acquittal, that's double jeopardy. She can never be charged again. She was convicted on the one, so she's done. Whether or not they'll try to find another, suspect, no. The prosecution is convinced it was her. They weren't able to get her on it. So I think this is just gonna end subject to the civil lawsuits.
You think the jury got it right?
Not really. I was very surprised. I thought that well, first, both sets of lawyers did a really good job. The prosecution and the defense, very good lawyering. So, kudos to both of them. But I thought the prosecution told a good story and had the evidence. They had party admissions. They had her admitting that she hit him, through a number of people. They had her admitting in interviews that she may have clipped him. They had her state of mind. The text messages on the day leading into the early morning hours when he was killed. Showing that she was upset. And then they had the science. They had so many experts. They had, DNA experts, accident reconstructionists, neurologists, forensic pathologists, criminologists, all pointing to the fact that he could have been hit with the vehicle. And I think the most compelling thing that I thought the jury would get into was, if he didn't die this way, how else could he have died? And the prospect that, within the police was just beyond the pale.
Tre Lovell, we thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.